So I took the night off last night and just did a quick corned beef brisket and some mashed potatoes. So tonight we're going to be making cheese and pasta in a pot, otherwise known as death in a pot, because it has so much stuff that's technically not good for you. The first thing you're going to want to do is set your oven to 350 degrees and get that started. And you're going to want to take a pound of ground beef. I'm cutting this recipe in half. A pound of ground beef and a small onion, chop those, and you're going to brown those up together. To double this recipe, you're going to need a big Dutch oven or something bigger, because you're going to be putting a 15-ounce jar of ragu spaghetti sauce in there, a 1 pound can of stewed tomatoes, along with a can of 3-ounce can of undrained mushrooms. And also go ahead and brown this ground beef up and then add your onions and your garlic afterward. So I'm going to get this browned up. I have to admit I don't have everything I need, so I had to have my husband run to the store to grab some of it. So we'll be back with you as soon as this is browned up. Once your ground beef is browned, go ahead and put it back in the pan after it's been drained. You're going to add onion to it. I know I said to add it at the beginning, but I wasn't paying attention to my recipe. And you're going to also add a clove of minced garlic. I'm being really lazy tonight and I don't feel like mincing up a clove of garlic, so I'm just going to throw in some pre-bottled minced garlic. Okay, I finally have the rest of my ingredients, and what you need is normally a 3 to 4 ounce can of mushrooms with the juice, but since I'm doing half a recipe, I'm only going to throw half of it in there. And then you need stewed tomatoes, about a 14.5 ounce can. Also, I'm only using half of those, so we're going to put half of those in there. And then you need the ragu, just the regular old standard ragu sauce, and we're going to put half of the jar of that in there. It's really actually easier if you make the full recipe, but that's just so much food that we don't need here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to stir this all up with your garlic and your onions, and we're going to simmer this for about 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll be breaking up those tomatoes out of the stewed tomatoes as we're doing that. In the meantime, go ahead and get a pan of water boiling as this is simmering, and get your noodles cooked, and I'll explain that in a second. My water's at a full boil, so I'm going to add my noodles, and 4 ounces of noodles is about a cup and a half of medium shell noodles. And we're going to cook up these noodles, and when they're done, we're going to drain them and run them under cold water. I'm going to wait till it comes back up to a boil, and then I'll start my timer. Here, but we got a storm coming in, so my kitchen got pretty dark. So I use a pan like this for the oven, and of course I'm going to spray it down, which I always do, and get that all prepped and set aside while we go ahead and work on the rest. This is definitely a boil, so you're going to want to turn your heat down quite a bit so that you're not boiling all of your sauce away. Break up your tomatoes, so just bring it down so that it has a little bit of a bubble on the top, but not that rolling boil that it had before. Then make sure that you run them under cold water, and what this does is this stops the noodles from cooking, so you definitely want to make sure you get that done, because you don't want them to cook anymore, because they're going to continue to cook once you put them in your dish. And then give them a chance to sit and drain well while we wait for the rest of the sauce to finish simmering. All right, this is where the assembly portion comes in. We're going to put half the noodles in the bottom of the casserole. And then we are going to take half of the sauce mixture, which is completed, and we're going to put half of the sauce mixture over the top of the noodles. And this is where all the healthy stuff comes in. You're going to take a cup and a quarter of sour cream, and you're going to take half of that sour cream and you're going to spread it, and it's going to get messy, over the top of this meat mixture. And make sure you give it a nice spread over the top so it's pretty even. It's going to get a little gloppy, but that's okay. All right, so we got about half of that in there. And then we're going to take half of the cheese. Now, normally it calls for 2 packages, so we're going to take 5 slices of each kind of cheese, and we are going to put it over the top of this, and it's each kind, so this is a lot of cheese. That's 3. We need 2 more slices for this layer of this one. So I'm going to put 1 here, 1 there. Need 1 more. This is the mozzarella, so we're going to have 5 slices of the mozzarella in here. And then we're going to take 5 slices of provolone, and we're going to add that to it. And then we are going to repeat. I think I don't have a big enough pan for this, so I'm going to have to put it on a baking pan when I bake it. Show you what it looks like when it's all done. Just repeat. Because I've made this so many times before, I'm going to put this on a baking sheet because it might go over, and I don't want it to go over in my oven. Normally, this is the pan that I use to put it all in when I double the recipe. So I'm going to put it in the oven for 35 to 40 minutes. It's out of the oven. It's all nice and browned on the top, and we can dig in. Lots of ooey gooey goodness. This is a recipe that's actually almost better the second day.